Hello, this is Rick Vatner with a special report for ESTV. Who would have thought at this time yesterday what an extraordinary day today would be? This morning the Australian Prime Minister was fired by the Australian Labor Party and replaced with our first woman Prime Minister. Now this raises a lot of questions. You know, Kevin Rudd was elected Prime Minister only 2.5 years ago. He took us through the global financial crisis, and by all accounts he did a sterling job. So how did a man, a Prime Minister who had the support and backing of the country, of his party, who led us through one of the most difficult times in our economic history, certainly in the last century, how did such a man lose our trust and confidence, and did he deserve to be fired? Well, in my opinion, he did. You know, we have run a few articles on ESTV talking about the way politicians have let down the public. We have complained about it here in Australia. We felt that Kevin Rudd ran away from the global warming issue when he decided to put it off for another 12 or 18 months. We know that politicians around the world have not addressed the massive issues that led to the global financial crisis. The banking system in America and in Europe is not essentially any different, and we know that there is a lot to do yet. But what we need is politicians with backbone who are prepared to get in there and do the job. We've seen Obama in America be stymied at every step of the way by a Republican Senate that just wants to try and make his job as impossible as possible so that they can make him look bad and therefore hopefully get re-elected at the next elections. We've seen it here in Australia, where the Liberals have implemented an obstructionist policy at every step of the way, not working with the government to tackle the massive issues that we have on our plate, but looking for every opportunity to make them look bad because they couldn't get their policies implemented. And we've seen it in England, where the British Prime Minister didn't address the issues the way that the public felt that he needed to address them. And everywhere we've seen that politicians, when they come up for election, if the public feel that they're not doing their job, they've been kicked out. And Kevin Rudd probably would have lost his job within the next 6 months if he'd gone to an election for the same reason. You know, it's not that the Australian public expects that their Prime Minister, that their politician wins every battle. It's that they expect that he gets in there and does his best job. When they see someone backflip after backflip after backflip on issue after issue because he's afraid of the bad publicity that tackling that issue may bring him, then that's when they start to lose confidence, when they realize that their politicians are out of integrity. We are suffering in Australia because many of our politicians are out of integrity. The Liberal Party cannot be accused of doing the best for Australia when it continually obstructs the government from implementing just about every policy that they've tried to bring in. No. And people can see that they're doing that for their reasons, not because they believe that it's going to be the best thing for Australia. But at the same time, we were faced with a Prime Minister who was also running away from fight after fight after fight. And we knew that he just didn't have the backbone to address the issues that we know have to be tackled in the near future. Julia Gillard has shown that she is not only a competent manager, but she has the character to be able to get major changes in those areas for which she's responsible. She was prepared to take on the principals, the school teachers and the unions in the education industry so she could make the changes that she believes needed to be made and implement the My School policy. And I believe that she is probably the best man for the job right now. So I hope that politicians in Australia and around the world will take heed of the messages that people are sending them, because we are sick and tired of politicians who are out of integrity, politicians who do not have the backbone to do and to implement the policies that they know have to be taken on board if we're going to get through this period both of climatic crisis and economic crisis. I wish Julia Gillard well in the task ahead of her. She only has a few months to prove that she is the best woman and the best politician in Parliament to get this job done. I believe she can. This is Rick Vatner from ESTV.